Hey, boys and girls, so I hope you liked your Pete the Cat read aloud. We are actually going to act as the illustrators again to draw a portrait of Pete the Cat. Now, if you don't remember, the word portrait actually means a picture of a person, a picture of another living thing. So we're actually going to make a portrait for Pete the Cat. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to remember that the illustrator is the artist who actually puts the pictures to the words. So an illustrator has a really important job. They have to take words and form pictures in their imagination. So what we're going to need is a couple of different things. You're going to need a white piece of paper. You need a pencil, an eraser, and a black marker. These you'll definitely need. Now, if you have them, you'll also need watercolor paint and a paintbrush. But if you don't have watercolor paint, that's fine, because markers work too. And that'll be in the second video. So let's go ahead and get started with our Pete the Cat. So on my white paper with my pencil, I'm going to draw two lines. And these lines have to be parallel. Parallel is a big fancy word, boys and girls. Parallel lines are two lines that go in the same direction and never quite touch. So I'm going to make two parallel lines. And then I'm going to connect them at the bottom with a smile. So now they touch. And here is the start of Pete the Cat's face. Now at the top of the first one, I'm going to make a line that comes down for one of Pete the Cat's ears. I'm going to do the same thing over here to give the Pete the Cat two ears. And it's almost like we have triangles that we didn't quite finish. The next part is going to be adding the smile to the top of Pete the Cat's head. So there's a nice curve right here. I'm sorry, more of a rainbow than a smile, so like a frown. This is the top curve of Pete the Cat's head. Now we're going to move on to Pete the Cat's nose. So Pete the Cat's nose actually is very low on his face. I'm going to draw a straight line, and then I'm going to add two lines to go down, almost like a pizza slice. So an upside down triangle for Pete the Cat's nose. Now on either side of Pete the Cat's nose, we need an eye. Pete the Cat has two big eyes, and they start with rainbows. So I'm going to make sure I have those two big rainbows. Now, boys and girls, remember, at any time you can pause the video. You can put the video backwards so you can catch up. It's up to you. Now, at the bottom of those rainbows, I'm going to make two smiles. And there are Pete the Cat's eyes. Now, those eyes aren't quite done yet. I need to use a letter next. And the letter I'm going to be using is the letter U. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see my eyes a little bit more clearly. I'm going to make the letter U on the inside of his eye, close to the top. I'm going to make another U. So this is part of Pete the Cat's eyes. Now, there's actually still one more detail left to add. Are you ready? I'm going to make a bigger U on the outside. And there are Pete the Cat's eyes. The next part is going to be Pete the Cat's whiskers. So off the side of his face, Pete the Cat has whiskers that come out. And they curve out just like that. Now, after I have his eyes and his whiskers done, I'm going to go ahead and make two lines that come down for Pete the Cat's body. And there is the beginning of our Pete the Cat. Now, we're making a portrait of Pete the Cat, so he needs a picture frame around him right now. So I'm going to start at the top of my paper with a wavy line. Then I'm going to make a wavy line going down the side of my paper. A wavy line going across. And then another wavy line coming down. And what I've done is I've made a wavy rectangle around my paper to help make a frame for Pete the cat. Now, there's one last part, and then we're going to move on to the markers. I'm going to take my pencil, and I'm going to do my best to make a straight line coming down, and then across, and up, and across. So now I've just made a rectangle on the inside for my picture frame. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to erase these little lines here at the bottom because they crossed over. And that's okay, because that's why we have erasers. And there is Pete the cat in his picture frame. So I'm going to go ahead and now I'm going to switch from my pencil to my black marker. And you can use any black marker you need. And I'm going to go ahead and start outlining my drawing with my black marker. Now, if I don't get right on the lines, that's actually okay, and I'll tell you why. Because I can always just take an eraser later and erase the pencil lines that are still showing. And that way, no one will ever even know they were there. And I'm going to go ahead and finish up his frame. And whoops, and there I made that mistake, boys and girls. So I didn't get quite on the line, and that's okay, because now I can just join it back up, and I'll erase that little bit of pencil, and no one will even know it was there. Now, there's one other detail we're going to add. I'm going to make sure you see this really clearly, because it's a little bit tricky. On the inside of Pete the cat's eye, there is this little area right here that we are going to fill in black before we start talking about color. And there, boys and girls, is our Pete the cat portrait. Now, the next video is going to show you how I add color to my Pete the cat. But what you can do is you can go ahead and get the supplies you need for color. So remember what I said, you can use markers, or if you have them, you can also use the watercolor paints. I show you how to use both in the next video. So make sure you take a good look at the next video. And before you go there, if you want to follow ahead and erase any of those little pencil lines that are still showing, go right ahead. And if you would really like, before you move on, you can even add some little decorations to your frame. So things like swirly lines, curved lines, polka dots, anything at all to dress up your frame. It's completely up to you. So that way Pete the cat has a fancy frame. Now, I hope you enjoyed doing your Pete the cat illustration with me, and I hope you're going to really enjoy the next video where we add color. I'll see you guys soon.